Chandro Kunumunte Putashino Pavanashini Binogaha. Okay, today we'll start by, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hare Krishna. We're going to chant the Brahma Samhita first today, so we'll stand up before the deity and sing the prayers of the Brahma Samhita, and then afterwards we'll go over the translation. Shvara Parama Krishna Sakchit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Sahasrapatra Kamalam Gokulakyam Mahatpadam Tatkarnikaram Tadhama Tadadantang Shasambhavam Karnikaram Mahadyantram Shatkonam Bajrakilakam Shadanga Shatpadistanam Prakritya Purushena Cha Premananda Mahananda Rasena Vastitam Hiyat Jyoti Rupena Manuna Kama Bijena Sangatam Tatkinjalkam Tadangshanam Tatpatrani Shriyamapi Chaturashram Tatparitaha Shvetadvipakyam Adbhutam Chaturashram Chaturmurtesh Chaturdhama Chatushkritam Chaturbhi Purushartaischa Chaturbhir Hetubhir Vritam Shular Dashabirarandam Urdvado Didvidvikshapi Ashtabir Nidibir Jushtam Ashtabhi Siddhibhistata Manurupaischa Dashabhir Tikpalai Paritovritam Shamayar Gauraishcha Raktaishcha Shuklaishcha Parshadarshabahi Shobitam Shaktibistabir Adbhutabhi Samantataha Evam Jyotirmayo Deva Sadananda Paratparaha Atmaramasya Tasyasti Prakityana Samagamaha Maya Ramamanasya Naviyogastayasaha Atmana Ramaya Reme Tyakvakalam Sushikshaya Niyati Sarama Devi Tatpriya Tadvasham Tada Talingam Bhagavan Shambhur Jyoti Rupa Sanatanaha Yayoni Sapara Shakti Kamu Bijam Mahadarehe Linga Yonyatmika Jata Ima Maheshwari Prajaha Shaktiman Purushasoyam Lingarupi Maheshwaraha Tasmina Virabu Linge Mahavishnu Jagatpatihi Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sahasrabahur Vishvatma Sahasramsha Sahasrasuhu Narayana Sabhagavan Apastasmat Sanatanat Avirasit Kararnarno Niti Sankarshanatmakaha Yoga Nidram Gatastasmin Sahasram Shaswayam Mahan Tadroma Bilajaleshu Bijam Sankarshanasya Cha Haimanyandari Jatani Mahabhutavratani Tu Pratyandam Evamekam Shad Ekam Shad Vishati Swayam Sahasramurdha Vishvatma Mahavishnu Sanatanaha Vaman Gadasrijad Vishnum Dakshinan Gat Prajapatim Jyotirlinga Mayam Shambhum Kurchadeshad Avasrijat Ahankaratmakam Vishvam Tasmad Etad Vyajayata Hatataistri Vidervesher Lilan Mudvahatakila Yoga Nidra Bhagavati Tasya Shireva Sangata Shashikshayam Tato Nabhes Tasya Padmam Baniryayau Tannalam Hemanalinam Brahmano Lokamadbhutam Tatvani Purvarudhani Karanani Parasparam Samavaya prayogaccha vibinani pratak pratak. Shikshaksha sajamanota bhagavanari purushaha. Yojayan mayaya devo yoga nidra makalpayat. Yojayitva tutanyeva pravivesha swayam guham. Guham pravishte tasmimstu jivatma pratibudyate. Sanityo nitya sambandha prakritischa paraivasa. Evam sarvatma sambandham nabhyam padmam harerabhut. Tatra brahmad babad bhuyas chaturvedi chaturmukaha. Sanjato bhagavat chaktya tatkalam kilakchoditaha. Sashikshayam matim chakre purva samskara samskritaha. Dadarsha kevalam dvantam nanyat kimapi sarvataha. Uvacha puratastasmai tasya divya saraswati. Kama Krishnaya Govinda He Gopi Jana Ityapi. Vallabhaya Priya Mane Mantram Te Dasyati Priyam. Tapastvam Tape Etena Tavasidhir Bhavishyati. Hatate Pe Sasuchiran Prinam Govindam Avyayam. Shweta Dvipa Patim Krishnam Golokastam Parat Param. Prakritya gunarupinya rupinya paryupasitam. Sahasradala sampanne kotikin kopa brimhite. Bhumish chintamanistatra karnikari mahasane. Samasinam chidanandam jyoti rupam sanatanam. Shabda brahmamayam benum vadayantam mukham bhuje. Vilasani ganavratam swashwar angshar abhishtutam. Atavenu nanadasya trayimurti mayikatihi. Spuranti prabhiveshashu mukhabjani swayambhuvaha. Gayatrim gayatas tasmad adigatya sarojajaha. Sanskritas gununa dvijatam agamatataha. Traya prabhuto ta vidhir vigna tatat vasagaraha. Tushtava vedasarena stotrina nena keshavam. Chintamani prakada sadma sukalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhirabhipalayantam. Lakshmi sahasra shatasambrama sevyamanam. Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Venum kwadantam aravindam dhalayataksham. Bharhavatam samasitam buddhasundarangam. Kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham. Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Alola Chandra Kala Sadvana Marya Vamshi. Radnangadam Pranaya Keli Kala Vilasham. Shamam Tribangalalitam Niyata Prakasham. Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Angani Yassa Sakalendriya Vritti Manti. Pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti. Ananda chinmaya sadujvala vigrahasya. Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Advaitam achutam anadim anantarupam. Adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha. Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhaktau. Govindamari purusham hamaham bhajami. Pantastu koti shatavatsara sambrakamyo. Vayoradhapi manaso munipungavanam. Sopyastiya praparasinya vichintya tadve. Govindamari purusham hamaham bhajami. Pekopya saura charitam jagadanda kotim. Yat shakti rasti jagadanda chayaya danta. Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pavitariyo Manujasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Shayanara Bhusha Suktaryameva Nigama Pratitaistuvanti Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavis Tabirya Eva Nijarupa Tayakalabhi Goloke Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuto Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Chudita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Deva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramari Muti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Vatara Makorod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samababat Parama Pumanyo Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhapato Jagadanda Koti Koti Shashesha Vasudari Vibhuti Binnam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Maya Hiyasya Jagadanda Shatani Sute Tregunyatad Vishaya Veda Pitayamana Sattva Valambi Parasattvam Vishuddha Sattvam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmataya Manasu Vyapraninam Pratipalam Smarutam Upetya Lilaitena Bhuvanani Chayatya Jasram Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Golokanamni Nijadamni Tale Tatasya Devi Mahesha Haridama Suteshu Teshu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vihitascha Yena Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shristi Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Jayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Ichchanurupam Apiyasya Tatesta Tesa Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yatada Vikara Vishesha Yogat Sanjayate Nahitata Pratagasti Heto Yashambhutam Apitata Samupaiti Karyad Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Departure Vahida Shantanamabhyapetya Dipayate Vrivita Hetu Samana Dharma Yastadrike Vahicha Vishnu Chaya Vibhati Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yakaranarna Bhajale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidramananta Jagadanda Saromakupaha Adhara Shaktim Avalambya Param Samurtim Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yashaikani Shrisitakala Matavalambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadannanatha Vishnur Mahansa Ihayasya Kala Vishesho Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Basmanyatasma Sakaleshin Nijeshu Tejaha Swiyam Kiya Prakatayata Vitadvadatra Brahmaya Esha Jagadanda Vidhana Karta Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yatpada Pallava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Vande Pranama Samaye Saganadi Rajaha Vignan Vidhantum Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Agnir Mahi Ganganamam Mumurudishascha Kalastatadma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Vishanti Yamcha Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yatshaksharesha Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Tejaha Yasjagnaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Dharmo Tapapa Nichaya Shutayastapamsi Brahmari Kita Patagarbhadayascha Jivaha Yadatra Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yastvindra Gopa Matavendra Mahosva Karma Bhandaru Rupa Palabhajana Matunoti Karmani Nirdahati Kintusha Bhakti Bhajam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayari Piti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavai Sanchintya Tassa Sadrishin Tanama Purete Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Druma Bhumishchintamani Ganamayi Toyamamratam Kata Ganam Natyam Gamanamapi Vamshi Priyam Saki Chidanandam Jyoti Paramapi Taraswadyam Mapicha Sayatra Shirabdhi Sravati Surabhibhyasya Sumahan Nimeshardhyakyo Varvajati Nahi Atrapi Samayaha Bhaje Shweta Dvipam Tamaham Iha Golokamitiyam Vidantaste Shantakshiti Viralachada Katipaye Ato Vacha Mahavishnur Bhagavantam Brajapatim Raman Mahatva Vignane Prajasarge Chachinmati Pancha Shloki Mimam Vidyam Vatsatapam Nibodame Prabhude Kyana Bhakti Vyam Mayananda Chinmayi Ude Tunitama Bhaktir Bhagavat Prema Lakshana Pramanais Tat Sadacharais Tadabhyasir Narantaram Bodhayanat Manatmanam Bhakti Mapyutamam Labhed Yasya Shreyas Kadam Nasti Yaya Nivirtumapnuyad Yasarayati Mameva Bhaktim Tameva Sarayed Dharma Manyan Baritaja Mamekam Bhaja Vishwasan Yadrishi Yadrishi Shraddha Siddhir Bhavati Tadrishi Kurvan Nirantaram Karma Loko Yam Manavartate Tenaiva Karmanadhyayam Mamparam Bhaktimicchati Aham hi Vishwasya Characharasya Bijam Pradanam Prakritihi Pumamscha Maya hitam teja idam vibarshi vide videhi tomato jaganti Ishvara Parama Krishna Sakchirananda Vigraha Anadirari Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Iti Sri Brahma Sangita Sampurnam Hari Om Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Bhakti and Linda.
Hare Krishna. I have a request, please. Could the camera please be turned toward you? It's still on the deities and they're gorgeous, but seeing if they could turn the camera toward you. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
We have Kartalists. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Sto Tarasata Shishima Adabhai Charanara Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Sto Tarasata Shishima Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavindi Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prems Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Sham Kund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Shri Raghunath Puri Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki All glorious assembled devotees All glorious assembled devotees All glorious assembled devotees Go Premanande Haribo Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Could you please bring me the 10th canto part 1? I seem to have picked up part 2. Thank you. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 6, the killing of the demon Putana. A summary of the 6 chapters as follows. When Nanda Maharaj, following the instruction of Vasudeva, was returning home, he saw a great demoniac woman lying on the road, and then he heard about her death. While Nanda Maharaj, the king of Vraja, was thinking about Vasudeva's words concerning disturbances in Gokula, he was a little afraid and sought shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Hari. Meanwhile, Kamsa sent to the village of Gokula a Rakshasi named Putana, who was wandering here and there killing small babies. Of course, wherever there is no Krishna consciousness, there is the danger of such Rakshasis. But since the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself was in Gokula, Putana could accept nothing there but her own death. One day, Putana arrived from outer space in Gokula, the home of Nanda Maharaj, and by displaying her mystic power, she assumed the disguise of a very beautiful woman. Taking courage, she immediately entered Krishna's bedroom without anyone's permission. By the grace of Krishna, no one forbade her to enter the house or the room, because that was Krishna's desire. The baby Krishna, who resembled a fire covered by ashes, looked upon Putana and thought that he would have to kill this demon, the beautiful woman. Enchanted by the influence of Yogamaya and the personality of Godhead, Putana took Krishna upon her lap, and neither Rohini nor Yashoda objected. The demon Putana offered her breast for Krishna to suck, but her breast was smeared with poison. The child Krishna therefore squeezed Putana's breast so severely that in unbearable pain she had to assume her original body and fell to the ground. Then Krishna began playing on her breast just like a small child. When Krishna was playing, the gopis were pacified and took the child to their own laps. After this incident, the gopis took precautions because of the attack of the Rakshasi. Mother Yashoda gave the child her breast to suck and then laid him in bed. Meanwhile, Nanda and his associates, the cowherd men, returned from Mathura. And when they saw the great dead body of Putana, they were struck with wonder. Everyone was astonished that Vasudeva had foretold this mishap, and they praised Vasudeva for his power of foresight. The inhabitants of Vraja cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces, but because Krishna had sucked her breast, she had been freed from all sins, and therefore, when the cowherd men burned the pieces of her body in a fire, the smoke filled the air with a very pleasing fragrance. Ultimately, although Putana had desired to kill Krishna, she attained the Lord's abode. From this incident, we gain the instruction that if one is attached to Krishna somehow or other, even as an enemy, no one ultimately attains success. Give me a verse from the Brahma Samhita that says, if you're attached to Krishna even as an enemy, you will attain complete success. Mukharavind in the front row. Yes, sir.
It is 55th verse. Yam krodha kama sahaja pranayadi bhiti vatsalya moha guru gaurava sevya bhave sanchintya tasya sadrishim tanuma purete govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami.
Explain it.
In whatever, whether it is yam krodha, wrath, or lust, is a love, parental affection,
fear, natural friendly love, sahaja,
love, parental love, vatsalya, moha is illusion, vatsalya, moha, guru gaurava sevya bhave, and whatever bhav you have worship Krishna, but He's pleased with we can approach by any of this bhav, but Krishna plays with any of these bhavs.
Swati, read the translation. Very good, Mukarvan. Thank you.
I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, the meditators of whom, by meditating upon him under the sway of wrath, amorous passion, natural friendly love, fear, parental affection, delusion, reverence and willing service, attain to bodily forms befitting the nature of their contemplation.
Thank you very much. What then is to be said of devotees who are naturally attached to Krishna in love? When the inhabitants of Vraja heard about the killing of Putana and the welfare of the child, they were very much satisfied. Nanda Maharaj took the baby Krishna on his lap and was filled with satisfaction. Text number 1. Shukadev Goswami continued, My dear king, while Nanda Maharaj was on the way home, he considered that what Vasudeva had said could not be false or useless. There must have been some danger of disturbances in Gokula. As Nanda Maharaj thought about the danger for his beautiful son Krishna, he was afraid, and he took shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Controller. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Whenever there is danger, the pure devotee thinks of the protection and shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also advised in Bhagavad Gita 9:33. Anityam asukam lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. In this material world, there is danger at every step. Padam padam yad vipadam. Therefore, a devotee has no other course than to take shelter of the Lord at every step. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. May I please see the Bhagavad Gita? 9:33. You may. Use the microphone at all times.
Okay. Yeah, the Putana got moksha by this way, by having enemy type of relationship with Lord Krishna. But our devotees, they don't want moksha. Generally, the enemies, they get a very high position, but it is up to the moksha. They don't get the devotion, which or bhakti, real bhakti, which is not moksha. Am I correct?
Yes, the devotees don't desire any of the 5 kinds of liberation. They simply desire to serve Krishna life after life. Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhakti rahaituki tvai. Lord Chaitanya's mood was that don't give me moksha, just birth after birth. Means I stay in samsara, but I continue to serve. This is the mood of the devotees, not asking for any kind of benefit from the Lord. Simply wants to be absorbed. But the point here is Putana, because of her contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she not only attained moksha, but she actually did attain some kind of bhakti for the Lord, because her destination was that she became a nursemaid of Krishna, a sort of variance of the Vatsalya Ras, because she offered her breast milk. This is what's extraordinary about this pastime, that although she came to kill Krishna, she came in the guise of a mother, and Krishna accepts the good and leaves the bad. So he thought, oh, she came as mother. So what? She tried to kill me. So then she gave him this benediction that she would serve as a kind of a maidservant for Krishna, and she got that position in the spiritual world. So then we're here. What to speak of those who actually approach Krishna out of a sense of pure love? What kind of destination do they have? And this is the topic of the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Uttara, who's the mother of Parikshit, had asked her son, she had intuited that there must be a place. In other words, when there's the highest pitch of devotion, a kind of unmotivated, uninterrupted love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there must be a place where it's practiced. Because the atmosphere has to be conducive. For instance, we come here because Shishi Radha Madan Mohan is here, and we make this sacred place. And now we're building another place. Just to have an atmosphere so that everyone can come and worship in a certain mood. If we went down to the Best Western Inn or something like that, it may not be the same. Or any other place, the atmosphere is important. So there must be a place, an atmosphere where the devotees who have completely unalloyed love for the Lord, they've sacrificed everything, their entire hearts, everything they're giving to Krishna in an unmotivated way. They don't desire anything in return. Where do they worship? Where's their place? Where's that atmosphere? That was the question that Uttara asked to her son, Parikshit Maharaj. And then Parikshit Maharaj described the Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka Vrindavan is such a unique place, it's not even known to the residents of Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha Dham is, the devotees are constantly engaged in serving Lord Narayan in love and opulence. But they're unaware of the pastimes of Krishna as a little child stealing butter and playing with his friends in the forest and stealing out in the middle of the night with the gopis and so on. And this is the rarest kind of devotion, which is attained by extreme good fortune, by association with those pure devotees who have that kind of devotion. And this is the ultimate goal for those who are the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They don't desire any kind of liberation. They don't want Vaikuntha. They simply want to be engaged in unmotivated, uninterrupted service to the Lord. So I'm going to read this text number 933 because Srila Prabhupada refers to it in his purport. Whenever there is danger, the pure devotee thinks of the protection and shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a profound statement. Now, the material world is fraught with difficulty. From the very beginning, when we're born, we're in an atmosphere of non-permanence. We're being stalked by the tigress of nescience and death. Around any corner we can be devoured. However, everyone's thinking that it won't happen to me. Although bugs are hitting our windshield, although squirrels are getting run over on the road, although the ambulance passes us going the other way, I think I'm okay. And Maharaj Yudhishthira said this is the most amazing thing. Ahani, ahani, bhutani. That again and again we see that this is happening, but I think I'm okay, I'm safe. But the devotees of the Lord are aware of the danger of the material world, and therefore they're always seeking the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is actually the safe position to realize one's non-permanence in this material world and to constantly take shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, we're in an illusory situation described by Shukadeva Goswami in the Srimad Bhagavatam when he says, Deha patra akalatradeshu atmasainye sosatsapi tesham pramotunidhanam pashanapina pashyati. That I'm taking shelter of this body. And I take very good care of this body because I think I am the body and that by preserving the body that I'll be preserved. But it's not to be. Even those who take the most care of their body will be gradually diminished. Their strength will be diminished by the force of time, kala. And then I also extend myself into my wife, my husband, my children, my family members, and I think they will protect me. And these are all extensions of the deha, the body. And there's a mentality, actually, that I built a fortress. I built a house, and I have my family, and I'm surrounded by them. I'm protected by my clan. But this is not to be also. They'll also perish. And then there's my money. Sometimes people, they live for their money, and they're always thinking, meditating on it, that if anything happens, I have my money. But the money will leak out some way or another. Somehow it gets taken. And all these things are a illusory attachment to the material world, which is vaporous. It's always moving. We can't actually get any grip here in the material world, but I'm thinking that I can be safe here, that I can find my niche, that I'll be protected. Dehapatra kalatradeshu atmasaini satsatsapi. But these are fallible soldiers. They won't be able to protect me. Just like sometimes the chokidars in India. You see them there everywhere at the front gate. Chokidar holding a stick or an antiquated old gun that probably would blow up if they ever tried to shoot it. And they stand there for years and years. And when there's some actual trouble, a lot of times the chokidar runs. And so same thing, atmasaini satsapi. The chokidar means a watchman. These guards, like we have security guards here in America. They're security guards, these chokidars. And sometimes when the big stuff starts happening, then they run away. And what happened to the chokidar? He's gone. 3 years of pay, guarding the place, and when some danger actually comes, then he's gone. So it's the same thing with our idea, this body, the family, the money, and all these things. I'm thinking, the chokidar's there guarding and everything. But when the actual calamity comes, when the death comes, it's between us and Krishna. We have no protection. These are fallible soldiers that we're taking shelter of. Paschanapina paschati. But Vishnu Maya is so strong that everyone thinks, I am this, I am that, have this, I have that. But Vishnu Maya is bewildering everybody. So the devotees aren't like that. They don't take shelter of this Vishnu Maya. They take shelter of Krishna. And this verse, Prabhupada quotes, Bhagavad Gita 9:33, Kim punar brahmana punya bhakta rajarshayastata anityam asukam lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmins, the devotees, and the saintly kings, therefore having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this material world there are classifications of people, but after all, this world is not a happy place for anyone. It is clearly stated here, Anityam asukam lokam. This world is temporary and full of miseries, not habitable for any sane gentleman. This world is declared by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be temporary and full of miseries. Some philosophers, especially Mayavadi philosophers, say that this world is false. But we can understand from Bhagavad Gita that the world is not false. It is temporary. There's a difference between temporary and false. This world is temporary, but there is another world which is eternal. This world is miserable, but the other world is eternal and blissful. Arjuna was born in a saintly royal family. To him also, the Lord says, take to my devotional service and come quickly back to Godhead, back home. No one should remain in this temporary world full as it is with miseries. Everyone should attach himself to the bosom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that he can become eternally happy. The devotional service of the Supreme Lord is the only process by which all problems of all classes of men can be solved. Everyone should take to Krishna consciousness and make his life perfect. Listen to the language Prabhupada uses in the purport. Everyone should attach himself to the bosom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that he can be eternally happy. This is a very intimate term. Like you say, you have bosom buddies. It means that you're embracing the other person, heart to heart, bosom to bosom. And so one can and must develop this bosom relationship with Krishna. This means we have an eternal kinship with Krishna. Sanitya nitya sambandha prakritischa paraivasa. It needs to be revived. In order to attain an actual stable position, this intimate relationship with Krishna must be revived. And in the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 11, Srila Prabhupada says there are two ways of developing this relationship, reviving this relationship of friendship with the Lord. One is by following the injunctions that Krishna gives in the Shastra. This is a very friendly thing to do. In other words, Hare Krishna, Karuna Prabhu, nice to see you. Good morning. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In other words, we have our own whims in this material world to do whatever we damn well please. This is the plight of the conditioned soul. That I'm independent, I don't need God, I don't need anybody else, I'll do whatever I damn well please. And this mentality is the doom, the peril of the conditioned soul. Just like if you drive on the 101 freeway and you turn your blinkers saying you're going right, but then you turn left and move into the left lane, you'll have accidents all over the place. And then you shouldn't complain. And you also shouldn't make an insurance claim either because you're an idiot for doing the wrong thing. You're not following the proper rule and regulation. It's your fault. There's rules, there's regulations, you have to follow them. And somebody who doesn't follow them is irresponsible and deserves to suffer. However, someone who takes it upon themselves out of a sense of sobriety, that I'm going to follow the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he adheres himself, she adheres himself to those rules and regulations very carefully, becomes dear to the Lord. Even the karmis who follow the Karmakanda section of the Vedas to the letter, out of a sense of even they want some material return, become dear to the Lord. Because at least they're trying to follow something that's authoritative. What to speak of those who follow the direct words of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, who says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Don't be involved in the other parts of the Vedas which are for fruitive activity and relate to the three modes of material nature. Simply be concerned with love for me. And if you're concerned with love for me, Ananya Chintayantomam, Ananyas Chintayantomam, Yejana Pariyupasate, Tesham Nityabdiyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Bahamyaham. There will be such an intimate relationship between us that you won't worry about anything. I'm already supplying everything, but I'll extend myself to you in every possible way, simply if you just absorb yourself in me. And one of the ways to absorb oneself in Krishna, simply hear what he says. What is his instruction? And follow the instruction of Krishna very carefully. This develops an intimate relationship with Krishna. And the other way is to become a well-wisher and friend of the Lord. Is to become a friend of the Lord, to become his well-wisher. That means that one desires to teach Krishna's message and does that, giving it to other people. In that way, one becomes close to Krishna because you're doing his work. You're following what his main. You're fulfilling the main purpose of Krishna in this material world, which is to give every living entity a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. So everyone should attach himself to the bosom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that he can become eternally happy. Also, the pure devotees of the Lord are most dear to Krishna. In fact, Krishna says they're more dear to me than my own self. And therefore, if one attaches oneself to the devotees of the Lord by becoming their servant, a million times removed, then one becomes dear to Krishna. Krishna says to Arjuna in the Adi Purana that those who say they're my devotees, they're not my devotees, but those who say they're the devotees of my devotees, they are my devotees. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is said that there is some question about the success of someone who is a devotee of Lord Narayan. But there is no question about the success of someone who is the devotee of Lord Narayan. So there are many ways to become the bosom friend of Krishna and to attach oneself, and this should be the goal of life. Anuragto habehe. One should become fully attached to Krishna, and this completes the purpose of the human form of life. And anityam asukam. So this world is anityam, it's temporary. Asukam has no happiness. Can't get any happiness here. Lokam, that's what this world is. Imam prapya bhajasvamam. Imam prapya bhajasvamam. Very specifically, imam, this, prapya, gaining, bhajasva, be engaged in loving service, mam, unto me. So, having come to this material world which is temporary and miserable, just engage in loving service unto me. Good, right? Isn't it? Feel better? I know I do. Okay. In this material world, there is danger at every step. Padam padam yad vipadam. Please grab me that verse. Padam padam yad vipadam. Samashita ye padapalava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho marare bhavam buddhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yad vipadam natesham. Samashita ye padapalava palavam Mahatpadam punya yasho marare he Bhavam budir vatsaparam padam 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 param padam 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 yadvi padam natesham. Chop, chop, let's go. Come on, the gold medal is sliding down to silver here. In your shloka book, it's page 257. Good morning, Bhaktivatsal Prabhu, in working hard in the kitchen. Samashita ye padapalava palavam. Thank you very much. So from the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have this famous verse from 10:14:58. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari. Famous as who? Murari. The enemy of the Mura demon. The ocean of the material world is like the water contained in the calf's hoofprint. Their goal is Param Padam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. Purport by the servants of Srila Prabhupada. This translation is taken from Srila Prabhupada's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 51. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, this verse summarizes the knowledge presented in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as pallava. Described as what? Pallava. Flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the word pallava also indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are just like desire trees, which can fulfill the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narada, who are themselves the great shelter for the conditioned souls in this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Thus it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifested himself as all the young boys and calves in Vrindavan, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, and being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. So we could take shelter of Krishna, and then we'll have safety. Otherwise, there's no safety in the material world. It's all a shifting place where we'll be ultimately disappointed and vanquished. Therefore, devotee has no other course than to take shelter of the Lord at every step. So every step means that there are many aspects of our life and different phases of our life that we'll go through, and at every step we have to take shelter of the Lord. We'll notice in the life of Srila Prabhupada that at various stages of his life, he appropriately took shelter of Krishna. In his childhood, of course, he was under the protection of his father, who was a pure devotee, and who introduced him to the worship of Radha and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada got his own deities when he was young, and he also got his own Ratha Yatra cart. And in this way, he used his childhood taking shelter of Krishna. His adolescence, when he was married, he took shelter of his father's instruction. There was a choice between two brides. One was pretty, the other one wasn't. Prabhupada's father recommended the one that wasn't, and Prabhupada accepted his instruction, and that way surrendered to the authority. And at the junction of his life, when he was leaving his family, he followed the course of natural progression in spiritual life, which was to gradually separate himself from his family, and then in taking sannyas, he took guidance from various God brothers, ultimately taking advice from them, and of course his spiritual master was calling him from within dreams, and he continually found the way to surrender to Krishna in every circumstance in his life. And you'll notice that there are various circumstances. One may see Prabhupada from the time that he came to America as a Parvajakacharya and a Paramahamsa, traveling the world and completely absorbed. He was 70 years old. He had been through many different phases of his life. But if you observe the other phases of his life, you'll notice that there were circumstances that you and I would also be engaged in. Family life, business life, childhood life, and so on. And there are many different kinds of decisions to make. And in each one of those phases of life, that means step by step, one must find out the ways and means to stay connected to Krishna and surrender to Krishna. It's not that we can observe Srila Prabhupada in his Paramahamsa role and then say, when I'm 5 years old, I'll also become a Paramahamsa. Or even when I'm 25 or 35 or 45, we can see that there is an appropriate way to surrender to Krishna at every step. Did somebody turn the heat up to 80 or something? Can you make sure that it's not above like 68 or? Apparently. Okay. It just goes up on its own, eh? Let's take a chance. So, at every step, one must take shelter of Krishna. This is what that means. And we have to recalibrate our lives regularly. It means as we are engaged in devotional service, we'll go through changes in our life because of different periods that we're going through. And we must constantly come back to the shelter of Krishna during those periods of life, finding out how to balance our life in relationship with our surrender to Krishna. Now I'm moving on. Ramananda Saka.
So regarding taking full shelter of Krishna, everyone, not everyone, at least the ones we are here in this assembly, all of them, they certainly want to take shelter of Krishna. But there are again some distance between Krishna and us that is assumed because of material attachments that are preventing us to take full shelter of Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that by chanting the holy names of the Lord, the heart gets purified. But even if we have the serious intention to take full shelter of Krishna, how long this process can take? Like, is there any shortcut?
Well, yes and no. I mean, we are, Lord, in the age of Kali Yuga, we do have a shortcut that just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, this is a shortcut. In fact, last night I was just quoting a verse in something I'm writing from the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which says that the residents of Satya Yuga, who have heard about the opportunity in this Kali Yuga where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears, are praying to take birth here in the Kali Yuga because there's an advantage, there's a dispensation given in Kali Yuga because of the wretchedness of the age. And so it's built in. There is a shortcut in the Kali Yuga. But as far as our own internal process goes, it's a moment-by-moment decision that we have. And at the same time, we must be patient because nayamatma prabhachanena labhyo na medayana bahuna shutena yami vaisha vrinute tena labhyas tashaisha esha vrinute tanum swam. Krishna reveals his own self to people he chooses himself. And it is a descending process. Some kinds of yoga are very mechanical, and they depend on controlling everything, controlling the breath, controlling the mind, controlling all the internal organs, controlling when you leave the world, and so forth. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Naite sriti partajanam yogi muhyati kashchana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yogi yukto bhavarjuna. That the bhakti yogi is not so much concerned with all these controls, how to get out of the maze of the material world, but depends more and more on Krishna. But if you want a shortcut, the shortcut is that find out how in your life to hear more Krishna Katha, hear about Krishna, and to render service to the Sankirtan movement. Because the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a manifestation of his internal potency. And by embracing that order, one comes in contact with the internal potency and will come to see Krishna face to face. Is there a shortcut? Yeah, you've got it. Just keep doing it. And be patient. Because it's not that... There are ways in which the contribution we make to anything comes at opportune times. And there are windows of opportunity for everything. So, for instance, one may study one's whole life in kindergarten, then grammar school, and then high school, then college. And you may think throughout all these periods of life that, I'm spending a lot of time doing this, going to all these classes, paying registration, doing all these kinds of things. When is my opportunity going to come? How come I'm not a lawyer yet, or something like that? And, however, there is a point at which, as you become proficient in all these studies and you apply yourself and you get experience and wisdom and so forth, somebody will come to you and say, why don't you join our firm? I think you're ready now. And there's a way in which, as we're practicing our devotional service, in an immature stage and then a maturing stage and then a stage where we become wise and fully mature, that we get more opportunity to come closer to Krishna. Yes, Akurnath Prabhu.
I remember we were sitting taking prasadam in St. Louis Temple many years ago, and we were getting tapes from the tape ministry of Prabhupada's discussions, conversations, classes and stuff. And I remember in one class, Srila Prabhupada was saying, or it was maybe a conversation, he was asking the devotees, so you're, in your 20s, you have how long to live, maybe 50 years or something like that. So if you just keep doing like you're doing, chanting 16 rounds, following this, serving this Hare Krishna movement, for just 50 years, not very long, 50 years or 60 years or so. And then he says, then you will see Krishna and you will kiss Krishna. He was promising like that. But he was saying just dedicate this one lifetime. It's just a short time, the rest of your life. And then you'll be successful.
Make sure that you have a complete contribution to your life as much as possible in all the phases of your life. And invest that. Investors who are steady and follow a disciplined investment plan, they end up wealthy. People who jump in and out of the market, trying to time it all the time, they're thinking, I'll make a killing, and then they end up broke and they borrow on the margin. They end up owing more than they had to invest in the beginning. But those who take a very systematic approach and they dollar cost average their money into the market and they follow a disciplined system throughout their life, then even if it's a modest amount they're putting in, gradually over time, then they wake up one day and they say, I'm rich because I was disciplined. So those who take a steady approach to devotional service will be like that. Concerning the idea of opportunity coming when the time is right, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the light of the Bhagavat that sometimes people perform austerities during the Chaturmasya. And this is a time when students and ascetics, sometimes they sit down and they perform more austerities. There was one brahmachari at the ashram in Govardhan. He was following the full course of the Chaturmasya this year. Big long fingernails and toenails because you can't cut your hair or your toenails. You eat once a day and you put the food on the floor and then you eat with your hands behind your back. As much as you can eat. Don't get any ideas, Ramananda Saka. As much as you can eat with your head down and your arms behind your back. And it's hard because I tried it one time. And it's difficult. You can't stay down that long. You start to get cramps and stuff. And you feel like an animal also. In any case, he was doing all these kinds of things. And anyway, some people, they perform all these austerities. So Prabhupada says that when you're in the midst of it, you often don't see the benefit. But when you finish up your austerity at the appropriate time, when it's over, the sandhya comes and there's a time, Chaturmasya is now over, and you walk away and you go back to your normal life as a student or a teacher, or whatever you are, you suddenly realize, I'm at a higher level. I did something. There was austerity is pregnant with with Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the Brahman eternally exists in acts of sacrifice. And if you perform the proper sacrifice, it's just like Prabhupada says, Dharya, you have to be patient. And he gives the example of a newlywed wife is thinking, I want a baby, I have to have a baby. And it's like, hold on a minute, it takes a while. And so, even when pregnant, you have to wait 9 months and so forth, and then the baby pops out, and then you really got your hands full. But in any case, he gives this example about all things take time to incubate and come out, and so does devotional service. So Prabhupada says in the same way as those people who perform Chaturmasya, our lifetime of dedication and devotional service is a Chaturmasya-like existence. You may not see the exact result right now, but there are great opportunities. All kinds of things happen in one moment, in a flash. That's why Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita talks so much about the importance of the time of death. Yang vapi smanam bhavam tajatyante kalevaram. Tajatyante kalevaram, what happens when you're leaving your body? It's a huge opportunity. In fact, that's the topic of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ante narayana smritihi, that how can one remember at the end? What is that end? It's a juncture, it's an opening, it's a time when you're moving from one place to the next, and all the things come into play. It's like the final exam. You won't realize all the results of your study until you actually sit down and they say, put everything else away and get ready, because now it's time to remember everything that you learned. And did you study? Yes, you studied hard. You invested everything, and now it just flows out of you, and you know what to say, and you know all the answers, and you know more than they're even asking. And that's a stupid question, because I know more than the teacher does now. This is the result of preparation. It's confidence, you know. And so take it as we don't have to be impatient. We should be patient, says Rupa Goswami, and we should take as a life in preparation. Understand with full contribution to the process of devotional service, the time will come, the juncture will be there when all is tested and all is rewarded for your purposes. The devotee, yes.
I think during the preparation also we get into less and less frustration, and a lot of problems are just solved. Though we may look as if we are doing practice, we are doing sadhana, but internally we feel more and more happy. We have not reached to the goal, yes, but we are still happier.
Well, I could say one thing, Narendra Prabhu. I can see that in your face. When you come to class, it's like you're shot from a cannon. You're so eager to sit down and hear, and you're so attentive when the Bhagavatam's going on that I can see. Yes, I can, and you can notice that in devotees when they're practicing devotional service, they're happy because they're engaged and they're connected to Krishna. They're absorbed, and so it's not that it's all dry and then all of a sudden you hit the oasis, but Krishna gives inspiration from within the heart. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddha yogam tam yenam piyandite. It's sweet for the devotee. And even in times of suffering, when the devotee is going through the most intense periods of life, he or she is realizing that Krishna is backing me here and that this is purifying me, even though it hurts. It's not that it doesn't hurt, but still there's an understanding that I'm being purified by this and I'm going to come to the end of it. And Krishna's words are calling to us, anitya masukam lokam. It's temporary, it's unhappy, but you're coming to me, so just hang on. All the time there's hope in the devotee's heart, and that hope, he's thinking Krishna will bestow his ultimate mercy upon me. Te anukampam susamikshamano. He knows it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. So patience is such a virtue in devotional service or anything else. And those what do you say? The big shot is just a little shot who keeps on shooting. You just have a little thing to shoot, just keep shooting it. And one day everyone's, oh, that's the big thing. It becomes the big thing. So just do your steady bit, what you can, surrender how you can now to the best of your ability with a sincere heart, and everything will come. Text number 2. When Nanda Maharaj was returning to Gokula, the same fierce Putana whom Kamsa had previously engaged to kill babies was wandering about in the towns, cities, and villages, doing her nefarious duty. 3. My dear king, wherever people in any position perform their occupational duties of devotional service by chanting and hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, there cannot be any danger from bad elements. Therefore, there was no need for anxiety about Gokula while the Supreme Personality of Godhead was personally present. Purport: Shukadev Goswami spoke this verse to mitigate the anxiety of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a devotee of Krishna, and therefore, when he understood that Putana was causing disturbances in Gokula, he was somewhat perturbed. Shukadev Goswami therefore assured him that there was no danger in Gokula. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, Namashraya Kari Jatane Tumi, Takara Apana Kaje. Everyone is thus advised to seek shelter in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remain engaged in his own occupational duty. There is no loss in this, and the gain is tremendous. Even from a material point of view, everyone should take to chanting the Hare Krishna mantra to be saved from all kinds of danger. This world is full of danger. Padam padam yap padam. Therefore, we should be encouraged to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra so that in our family, society, neighborhood, and nation, everything will be smooth and free from danger. Text number 4. Once upon a time, Putana Rakshasi, who could move according to her desire and was wandering in outer space, converted herself by mystic power into a very beautiful woman, and thus entered Gokula, the abode of Nanda Maharaj. Purport: Rakshasis learn mystic powers by which they can travel in outer space without machines. In some parts of India, there are still such mystical witches who can sit on a stick and use it to fly from one place to another in a very short time. This art was known to Putana. Assuming the feature of a very beautiful woman, she entered Nanda Maharaj's abode, Gokula. Her hips were full, her breasts were large and firm, seeming to overburden her slim waist, and she was dressed very nicely. Her hair, adorned with a garland of malika flowers, was scattered about her beautiful face. Her earrings were brilliant, and as she smiled very attractively, glancing upon everyone, her beauty drew the attention of all the inhabitants of Raj, especially the men. When the gopis saw her, they thought that the beautiful goddess of fortune, holding a lotus flower in her hand, had come to see her husband, Krishna. While searching for small children, Putana, whose business was to kill them, entered the house of Nanda Maharaj unobstructed, having been sent by the superior potency of the Lord. Without asking anyone's permission, she entered Nanda Maharaj's room, where she saw the child sleeping in bed, his unlimited power covered like a powerful fire covered by ashes. She could understand that this child was not ordinary, but was meant to kill all demons. Purport: demons are always creating disturbances and killing, but the child lying on the bed in the house of Nanda Maharaj was meant to kill many demons. 8. Lord Sri Krishna, the all-pervading supersoul lying on the bed, understood that Putana, a witch who is expert in killing small children, had come to kill him. Therefore, as if afraid of her, Krishna closed his eyes. Thus Putana took upon her lap him who was to be her own annihilation, just as an unintelligent person places a sleeping snake on his lap, thinking the snake to be a rope. Purport: in this verse there are two perplexities. When Krishna saw that Putana had come to kill him, he thought that since this woman was present with motherly affection, although artificial, he had to offer her a benediction. Therefore he looked at her with a little perplexity and then closed his eyes again. Putana Rakshasi was also perplexed. She was not intelligent enough to understand that she was taking a sleeping snake onto her lap. She thought the snake to be an ordinary rope. The two words antakam and anantam are contradictory. Because of not being intelligent, Putana thought that she could kill her antakam, the source of her annihilation. And because he is ananta, unlimited, no one can kill him. So Krishna is considering here that he has to offer benediction. Because she's coming with some motherly affection. This is very interesting because it goes back to our original point that he takes the qualification, the best thing, and he offers himself and gives benediction, even though she had malintent. And at the same time, he's considering how to do this because here she is as a Rakshasi trying to kill him. Text 9. Putana Rakshasi's heart was fierce and cruel, but she looked like a very affectionate mother. Thus she resembled a sharp sword in a soft sheath. Although seeing her within the room, Yashoda and Rohini, overwhelmed by her beauty, did not stop her, but remained silent because she treated the child like a mother. Purport. Although Putana was an outsider, and although she personified fierce death because the determination within her heart was to kill the child, when she directly came and placed the child on her lap to offer the child her breast to suck, the mothers were so captivated by her beauty that they did not prohibit her. Sometimes a beautiful woman is dangerous because everyone, being captivated by external beauty, Maya Mohita, is unable to understand what is in her mind. I'll read it again. Sometimes a beautiful woman is dangerous because everyone, being captivated by external beauty, Maya Mohita, is unable to understand what is in her mind. This happened in the case of Mohini Murti. She bewildered the demons. They thought she's our well-wisher because just by looking at her, they were disarmed. This is the nature of the material world. Vishnu Maya, in the form of a woman, it disarms people. And they think, you got to let her do whatever she wants. Because she's so beautiful. She can't possibly be harmful. And that's what the demons, she convinced them, bewildered their minds and said, I'll just take over this pot of nectar that they got out of churning the milk ocean and all administer it. Okay? So, sure, you do whatever you like. And then, of course, she was working for the demigods, and she totally cheated the demons. So we can be cheated by the external energy. We are cheated by the external energy by being taken in. Therefore, one has to be dhira. One has to become dhira, sober, unaffected by this cheating of the external energy. Those who are dhira, they don't become bewildered by this external feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and become taken in. So, those who are captivated by the beauty of the external energy are called Maya Mohita. Mohitam nabijanati mame bhya paramavyayam, Bhagavad Gita 7:13. Nate vidu swartagatim hi vishnum darashraya ye bahir artibanina, Bhagavatam 7:531. Here, of course, the two mothers, Rohini and Yashoda, were not Maya Mohita, deluded by the external energy. But to develop the pastimes of the Lord, they were captivated by Yoga Maya. Such Maya Moha is the action of Yoga Maya. Text number 10. On that very spot, the fiercely dangerous Rakshasi took Krishna on her lap and pushed her breast into his mouth. The nipple of her breast was smeared with a dangerous, immediately effective poison. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, becoming very angry at her, took hold of her breast, squeezed it very hard with both hands, and sucked out both the poison and her life. Purport. Lord Krishna was not angry at Putana for his own sake. Rather, he was angry because the Rakshasi had killed so many small children in Vrajabhumi. Therefore, he decided that she should be punished by having to forfeit her life. 11. Unbearably pressed in every vital point, the demon Putana began to cry, "Please leave me, suck my breast no more." Perspiring, her eyes wide open, and her arms and legs flailing, she cried loudly again and again. Purport. The Rakshasi was severely punished by Krishna. She threw her arms and legs about, and Krishna also began to kick her with his legs to punish her properly for her mischievous activities. 12. As Putana screamed loudly and forcefully, the earth with its mountains and outer space with its planets trembled. The lower planets in all directions vibrated, and people fell down, fearing that thunderbolts were falling upon them. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that in this verse the word rasa refers to the planetary systems below the earth, such as Rasatala, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala. Text 13. In this way, the demon Putana, very much aggrieved because her breast was being attacked by Krishna, lost her life. O King Parikshit, opening her mouth wide and spreading her arms, legs, and hair, she fell down in the pasturing ground in her original form as a Rakshasi, as Ritasura had fallen when killed by the thunderbolt of Indra. Purport. Putana was a great Rakshasi who knew the art of covering her original form by mystic power. But when she was killed, her mystic power could not hide her, and she appeared in her original form. 14. O King Parikshit, when the gigantic body of Putana fell to the ground, it smashed all the trees within a limit of 12 miles. Appearing in a gigantic body, she was certainly extraordinary. Purport. Because of the grievous hurt imposed upon her by Krishna sucking her breast, Putana, while dying, not only left the room but abandoned the village and fell down in the pasturing ground in her gigantic body. 15 through 17. The Rakshasi's mouth was full of teeth, each resembling the front of a plow. Her nostrils were deep like mountain caves, and her breast resembled big slabs of stone fallen from a hill. Her scattered hair was the color of copper. The sockets of her eyes appeared like deep blind wells. Her fearful thighs resembled the banks of a river. Her arms, legs, and feet seemed like big bridges, and her abdomen appeared like a dried-up lake. The hearts, ears, and heads of the coward men and women were already shocked by the Rakshasi's screaming, and when they saw the fierce wonder of her body, they were even more frightened. 18. Without fear, the child Krishna was playing on the upper portion of Putana Rakshasi's breast, and when the gopis saw the child's wonderful activities, they immediately came forward with great jubilation and picked him up. Purport. Here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Although the Rakshasi Putana could increase or decrease her bodily size by her mystic abilities and thus gain proportionate power, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally powerful in any transcendental form. Krishna is the real personality of Godhead because whether as a child or as a grown-up young man, he is the same person. He does not need to become powerful by meditation or any other external endeavor. Therefore, when the greatly powerful Putana expanded her body, Krishna remained the same small child and fearlessly played on the upper portion of her breast. Shadashvaya Punya. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always full in all potencies, regardless of whether he is present in this form or that. His potencies are always full. Parasya Shaktir Vivadaiva Shruyate. He can display all potencies under any circumstances. 19. Thereafter, Mother Yashoda and Rohini, along with the other elderly gopis, waved about the switch of a cow to give full protection to the child Sri Krishna. Purport. When Krishna was saved from such a great danger, Mother Yashoda and Rohini were principally concerned, and the other elderly gopis, who were almost equally concerned, followed the activities of Mother Yashoda and Rohini. We find here that in household affairs, ladies could take charge of protecting a child simply by taking help from the cow. As described here, they knew how to wave about the switch of a cow so as to protect the child from all types of danger. There are so many facilities afforded by cow protection, but people have forgotten these arts. The importance of protecting cows is therefore stressed by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishi go raksha vani jam. Vaishakarma Subhavajam. Even now, in the Indian villages surrounding Vrindavan, the villagers live happily simply by giving protection to the cow. They keep cow dung very carefully and dry it to use as fuel. They keep a sufficient stock of grains, and because of giving protection to the cows, they have sufficient milk and milk products to solve all economic problems. Simply by giving protection to the cow, the villagers live so peacefully. Even the urine and stool of cows have medicinal value. 20. The child was thoroughly washed with cow urine and then smeared with the dust raised by the movements of the cows. Then different names of the Lord were applied with cow dung on 12 different parts of his body, beginning with the forehead, as done in applying tilak. In this way, the child was given protection. The gopis first executed the process of achman, drinking a sip of water from the right hand. They purified their bodies and hands with the nyas mantra, and then applied the same mantra upon the body of the child. Purport: Nyas mantra includes achman, or first drinking a sip of water kept in the right hand. There are different Vishnu mantras to purify the body. The gopis, and in fact any householders, knew the process for being purified by chanting Vedic hymns. The gopis executed this process first to purify themselves and then to purify the child Krishna. One executes the process of anganyas and karanyas simply by drinking a little sip of water and chanting the mantra. The mantra is preceded with the first letter of the name, followed by anusvar and the word namaha. Om namo jas tavangri anyat manmano manin mams tava januni avyat, and so on. By losing Indian culture, Indian householders have forgotten how to execute the anganyas and are simply busy in sense gratification without any advanced knowledge of human civilization. 23. Shukadev Goswami informed Parikshit that the gopis, following the proper system, protected Krishna, their child, with this mantra. May Aja protect your legs. May Maniman protect your knees. Gyagya your thighs. Achyuta the upper part of your waist. And Hayagriva your abdomen. May Keshava protect your heart. Isha your chest. The sun god your neck. Vishnu your arms. Arukram your face. And Ishwara your head. May Chakri protect you from the front. May Sri Hari Gadadhari, the carrier of the club, protect you from the back. And may the carrier of the bow, who is known as the enemy of Madhu and lord of Anjan, and carrier of the sword, protect you, your two sides. May Lord Urugaya, the carrier of the conch shell, protect you from all corners. May Upendra protect you from above. May Garuda protect you on the ground, and may Lord Haladar, the Supreme Person, protect you on all sides. Purport: even in the houses of the cultivators, who were not very advanced in the modern ways of civilization, the ladies used to know how to chant mantras to give protection to children with the help of cow dung and cow urine. This was a simple and practical way to give the greatest protection from the greatest dangers. People should know how to do this, for this is part of Vedic civilization. May Hrishikesh protect your senses and Narayan your life heirs. May the master of Shvetadip protect the core of your heart, and may Lord Yogeshwara protect your mind. May Lord Prishnigarbha protect your intelligence, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead your soul. While you are playing, may Govinda protect you, and while you are sleeping, may Madhava protect you. May Lord Vaikuntha protect you while you are walking, and may Lord Narayan, the husband of the goddess of fortune, protect you while you are sitting. Similarly, may Lord Jagnabuk, the fearful enemy of all evil planets, always protect you while you enjoy life. The evil witches known as Dakinis, Yatudhanis, and Kushmandas are the greatest enemies of children, and the evil spirits like Bhutas, Pretas, Pishachas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Vinayakas, as well as witches like Kotara, Revati, Jeshta, Putana, and Matrika, are always ready to give trouble to the body, the life air, and the senses, causing loss of memory, madness, and bad dreams. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was famous during his time for getting rid of ghosts. In fact, the Gaudiya Math people used to buy all these houses that were at reduced cost because people didn't want to live in them, because they knew when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta came in and started reciting Bhagavatam, all the evil elements would depart. Like the most experienced evil stars, they all created great disturbances, especially for children, but one can vanquish them simply by uttering Lord Vishnu's name. For when Lord Vishnu's name resounds, all of them become afraid and go away. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, see, we have Prabhupada's association just by reading his books. He's here in his purports. We can always associate with him, be connected intimately, because he's there speaking these words. Not only that, we're associating with Shukadeva Goswami Maharaj Parikshit in the best possible way by hearing what they're saying at the most important juncture. There's no reason not to be always connected to Krishna through the process of hearing and chanting. And we get all knowledge. All perfect spiritual knowledge comes from the hearing process. You simply hear from the authorities. And then you try to apply what they say in your life. And then everything is perfect. Bhakti is a simple process. Hearing, chanting, remembering. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 533, Advaitam, Achutam, Anadim, Anantarupam, Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha, Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktao, Govindamadi Purusham Damaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is the original person, non-dual, infallible, and without beginning. Although he expands into unlimited forms, he is still the original. Although he is the oldest person, he always appears as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, and all-knowing forms of the Lord cannot be understood by the academic wisdom of the Vedas, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. While decorating the body with tilak, we give protection to the body by chanting 12 names of Vishnu. Although Govinda, or Lord Vishnu, is one, he has different names and forms with which to act differently. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Nimai Pandit, when he had his school, many students would come to him because he was amazing, such an amazing scholar and teacher. And sometimes a student would come to school and he wasn't wearing his tilak. And Nimai Pandit would send him home, said, obviously you didn't do your puja this morning. Go back. I don't want to see you without your tilak here. But if one cannot remember all the names at once, while decorating the body with tilak, we give protection to the body by chanting the 12 names of Vishnu. This is nyas. Nyas means placement. So sannyas means you place everything in your life in the proper place. You use it all for Krishna. That's what sannyas means. So you can be a grahastha sannyasi if you use everything that you have, if you place it properly in Krishna's protection. Although Govinda, or Lord Vishnu, is one, he has different names and forms with which to act differently. But if one cannot remember all the names at one time, one may simply chant, Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Here's your shortcut. And always think of Lord Vishnu, Vishnu Aradhanam Param. This is the highest form of worship. If one remembers Vishnu always, even though one is disturbed by many bad elements, one can be protected without a doubt. The Ayurveda Shastra recommends. You want to hear the Ayurveda Shastra? You want to hear the Ayurveda Shastra? Here it is. The Ayurveda Shastra recommends Ashaudi Chintayet Vishnum. Even while taking medicine, one should remember Vishnu because the medicine is not all in all, and Lord Vishnu is the real protector. I like that. Somebody write that. Ashaudi Chintayet Vishnum. The material world is full of danger. Padam padam yad vipadam. Therefore, one must become a Vaishnava and think of Vishnu constantly. This is made easier by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was recommended Kirtaniya Sadahari, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, and Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Rajat. All shortcuts. Text number 30. So nice. Srila Shukadeva Goswami continued, all the gopis headed by Mother Yashoda were bound by material affection. After they thus chanted mantras to protect the child, Mother Yashoda gave the child the nipple of her breast to suck and then got him to lie down on his bed. Purport: when a baby drinks milk from the breast of his mother, this is a good sign of health. So the elderly gopis were not satisfied with chanting mantras to give protection to Krishna. They also tested whether their child's health was in order. When the child sucked the breast, this confirmed that he was healthy. And when the gopis were fully satisfied, they had the child lie down on his bed. 31. Meanwhile, all the cowherd men headed by Nanda Maharaj returned from Mathura. And when they saw on the way the gigantic body of Putana lying dead, they were struck with great wonder. Purport: Nanda Maharaj's wonder may be understood in various ways. First of all, the cowherd men had never before seen such a gigantic body in Vrindavan, and therefore they were struck with wonder. Then they began to consider where such a body had come from, whether it had dropped from the sky, or whether by some mistake or by the power of some mystic yogini they had come to some place other than Vrindavan. They could not actually guess what had happened, and therefore they were struck with wonder. 32. Nanda Maharaj and the other gopas exclaimed, "My dear friends, you must know that Anakadundubi, Vasudeva, has become a great saint or a master of mystic power. Otherwise, how could he have foreseen this calamity and predicted it to us?" Purport: this verse illustrates the difference between Kshatriyas and innocent Vaishyas. By studying the political situation, Vasudeva could see what would happen, whereas Nanda Maharaj, the king of the agriculturalists, could only guess that Vasudeva was a great saintly person and had developed mystic powers. Vasudeva actually had all mystic powers under his control, otherwise he could not have become the father of Krishna. But in fact, he foresaw the calamities of Vraj by studying Kamsa's political activities and thus warned Nanda Maharaj to take precautions, although Nanda Maharaj thought that Vasudeva had predicted this incident through wonderful mystic powers. By mystic powers gained through the practice of Hatha Yoga, one can study and understand the future. 33. The inhabitants of Raj cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces with the help of axes. Then they threw the pieces far away, covered them with wood, and burned them to ashes. Purport: it is the practice that after a snake has been killed, its body is cut into various pieces for fear that it may come to life again simply by interacting with air. Merely killing a serpent is not sufficient. After it is killed, it must be cut to pieces and burned, and then the danger will be over. Putana resembled a great serpent, and therefore the cowherd men took the same precautions by burning her body to ashes. When Sanatana Goswami first met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was wearing a valuable blanket. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked askance at Sanatana Goswami several times. And Sanatana was very intelligent. He could understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not pleased with my blanket. It's a kind of an opulence, not fit for a mendicant, which he had just become. So, on his own, with his own initiative, understanding the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went down to the river, found somebody who had a blanket, a quilt of lesser value, and traded. And then came back with that. And Mahaprabhu was unlimitedly pleased that Sanatana Goswami had understood his intention and that he had voluntarily acted in that way. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that when the physician is treating the patient, he is careful that all of the disease is gone. Why should he allow the patient to keep any of the disease? Because it can come back. Just like with antibiotics, they tell you take the full course of antibiotics, because if you stop halfway through, then it can come back. And not only that, it mutates and it becomes stronger than before. That's why there's so many super bugs that can't be killed anymore, because people take half their antibiotics and then flush them down the toilet. And then the bacteria mutates and it becomes resistant to the bacteria, to the antibiotics. And now there are a lot of things that can't be killed by antibiotics. Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. So in our practice, we can't open the door for Maya and think that just a little bit of Maya is okay. Because that mentality is dangerous. There's a way in which when you open the door a little bit to Maya, she can talk her way in. And the next thing, she's living in your house. Bad association is association of worldly-minded people, or especially with Mayavadis, is especially warned against by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warns us that even if a highly placed devotee, Vaishnav, hears from Mayavadis, that he associates with them and thinks, oh, they're all right. They're okay. I'll get something from them. And he hears some of their talk. Then that person's heart can become contaminated. And after some time, they'll think that, oh, this devotional service is something boring. This is something that's not so interesting. I'll go do something else. This will happen. This is a disease. And therefore, those who are keeping good health, they're careful to insulate themselves from places and people who can infect them. You know, if you have a baby daughter who you're raising, you make sure that she doesn't get exposed to all kinds of poisons and toxins and dangerous things in the environment or germs, because she's so delicate. So one of the acharyas compares our devotional creeper to a baby daughter. So just as the parents of a baby daughter are just so careful about everything they do, they don't let anybody walk in the house who's breathing incorrectly come near their daughter. So similarly, we should be like that with our creeper and consider that it's so tender, delicate, and so valuable, the only thing that's valuable, that we should be careful to protect it and not think that, oh, this one time it's okay, or all these kinds of things. We should be vigilant against the infection that comes from Maya. Text number 34. Burn it to ashes. Make sure it's killed. So just like the snake, you know, when the snake is killed, they cut it into pieces and burn all the pieces. So that's how we should feel with our anartas. And not that like, oh, I killed half of it. It'll come back. Little air, little light, and the next thing you know, the anarta's back fully manifest again. So the same thing that we should make sure whatever anartas we're dealing with, we chop them into bits and burn them. Chop them into bits and burn them. Chop into bits and burn them. That's my new mantra. Chop them into bits and burn them. 34. Because of Krishna's having sucked the breast of the Rakshasi Putana, when Krishna killed her, she was immediately freed from all material contamination. Her sinful reactions automatically vanished. And therefore, when her gigantic body was being burnt, the smoke emanating from her body was fragrant like a guru incense. Purport. Such are the effects of Krishna consciousness. If one somehow or other becomes Krishna conscious by applying his senses in the service of the Lord, one is immediately freed from material contamination. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana, Bhagavatam 1.2.17. Hearing about the activities of Krishna is the beginning of purified life. What is the beginning of purified life? Hearing about the activities of Krishna. So this is the beginning of purified life, and therefore this is the main process for advancing in bhakti. Hear Krishna Katha. You can hear Krishna Katha from Bhagavad Gita. You can read the Bhagavad Gita how many times in this life before becoming saturated? How many times? Approximately. Approximately how many times before it becomes uninteresting? It's a trick question, because the more you read Bhagavad Gita, the more interesting it becomes. And the more you realize Bhagavad Gita, the more interesting it becomes. As we realize, Dehi no sminyata dehe komaranyovaram jara tata dehan tara praktir dhiras tatra namuyati. As we were realizing it ourselves, I'm not my body, the body's changing, but I'm not changing. It becomes more interesting. It's not that we move on from the Bhagavad Gita and then the Bhagavad Gita becomes something elementary and uninteresting, but it becomes more and more relevant in our lives. For the most advanced devotees, they're fascinated by Bhagavad Gita. They're not pushing it away. So we have to hear constantly the instructions of Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna and the words of his pure devotees who are his authorized commentators who are speaking these things. And if we hear those things, we'll become enriched. Our heart will change, and we'll be on the path back home, back to Godhead, simply by that process of hearing. Everything takes place by that. Everything takes place by what? It's hearing. Hearing about the activities of Krishna is the beginning of purified life. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Simply by hearing and chanting, one becomes purified. Therefore, in discharging devotional service, Shravana Kirtana, hearing and chanting, is most important. Then, with purified senses, one begins to render service to the Lord. Shrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchite. This is called bhakti. When Putana was somehow or other, directly or indirectly, induced to render some service to the Lord by feeding him with her breast,
Make your
she
computer
was
easier to use.
immediately purified. So much so that when her nasty material body was burned to ashes, it gave off the fragrance of a guru, the most agreeably scented herb.